Wilder and Tyson Fury went at it in the ring, and from start to finish, it was Tyson Fury's fight. He started strong. He finished it strong with a technical knockout in the 7th round when Deontay Wilder's corner threw in the towel. A lot of discussion about that move. And who better to talk about what went down Saturday night and whether it was the right decision or wrong decision than the guy who called the fight for us on ESPN Plus pay-per-view. You, of course, know the dulcet tones of one Joe Tessitore from Top Rank Boxing, who joins us now on the Shell Pennzoil Performance Line. Pennzoil synthetic motor oils are made from natural gas. It gives you unbeatable engine protection. The proof is in the Pennzoil, based on Sequence 4A wear test using SAE 5W30. My goodness, that's a long intro. Joe, thanks for being with us this morning. First and foremost, did the corner for Deontay Wilder do the right thing, in your opinion?
The corner should have done that the round prior, but no, the timing was fine there at the very least, but there is no issue with that stoppage at all. Mark Breland absolutely did the right thing. Listen, it is very different, and I hope it came across okay for the fan watching on TV. But when you are seated up against that ring apron, you are seeing, hearing, sensing the damage far differently than when you're watching on TV. That was an absolute mauling, not in a boxing kind of way. That was the kind of mauling like a barroom brawl movie scene where guys are laid out afterwards. Deontay Wilder was absolutely beaten down in every way. Now, that doesn't mean he didn't act like a grand champion and have that game inside of him and wanting to go out on the shield. I get all that. That was a beatdown, and it needed to be stopped.
Every athlete would love to go out on the shield, and it's the job of the corner to make sure that they protect their boxer. And Mark Breland, who was a boxer himself, is the guy that threw in the towel. So that was the end, Joe. Let's go to the beginning, all the way to the crazy walk-in from both guys and the way they were decked out to the fight. So the floor is yours to take it from that point through the fight leading up to that towel throwing of just the experience, like you said, there in person.
It was incredible. And, we were really blessed, and I give credit to the two networks coming together and throwing the resources at this thing to treat it the way it needed to be treated. We were blessed to have a super crew of production put together between Fox and ESPN for the whole week of coverage. I felt like we were on air about every hour on every network last week. And so we had a lot of people who have worked Super Bowls and national championships and everything there is to work in sports. And at the end of the night, when about 200 people went back to a production office, what you were hearing was, that was beyond anything I've experienced. That felt bigger than a Super Bowl, bigger than fill in blank. There was an energy in that arena, and for many of us that have worked in the sport for years, and even some involved in the promotion, Bob Arum and many of his right-hand people, going back even to the 70s, are saying that was every bit what the golden era of Frazier, Foreman, Ali was. That was every bit of what the next golden era of the 90s of Lewis, Holyfield, Bo, and Tyson was. That's what's different about the heavyweight division when you have this level of fighter and these kinds of characters.
Joe Tessitore with us, and you are absolutely right when you say characters, because they both are very interesting personalities. But we'll get to that part of it in a second, Joe. But it was, as you alluded to, every bit the moment that boxing needed it to be. What about the way Tyson Fury went about dismantling Deontay Wilder surprised you, if it did at all?
Not 1 ounce, because he told us for 2 months exactly what he was going to do. And he built his body and he built his training based around this strategy. The big reveal for what happened Saturday night actually happened in the last 2 minutes of the first fight, when Deontay Wilder hit Tyson Fury with that incredible combination that floored him on December 1st, 2018. Fury got up, and he was forced, instead of being elusive and boxing and trying to dodge right hands to perfection for every second of the first fight, in the last 2 minutes of the 12th round, he got up and said, I'm forced now to step to him. I'm forced now for survival to make this a fight. And when he did, things were easier. All of a sudden, he had done damage in the final moments of that 12th round, December 1st, 2018. All of a sudden he said, wait a second, he can't fight backing up. I could take this to him. So then for this fight, what he said was, let me go and get a Kronk style to my game. Let me hire Sugar Hill Stewart. Let me put on 270 plus pounds. Let me be the effective aggressor and come straight at him. It's like the great self-defense class they teach you. If somebody has a gun, a rifle, which is the right hand of Deontay Wilder, you run to a rifle. You run away from a knife. Run to the rifle, smother the guy with the rifle. They can't handle it. Get inside and make it a fight on the inside. He made it a fight on the inside. He absolutely mauled him. He beat him down. Wilder struggled off of his back foot, backing up, trying to fight that way, and he had it his way. So this was not surprising to those of us who had been with him the last couple months, who had been with him in and around training camp and knew what the strategy was and how he was going to come in physically to specifically do this.
Joe Tessitore with us. So, Joe, I guess my follow-up would be, because it seemed like almost everybody was picking Deontay Wilder to win. If he told us he was going to do it, why didn't more people believe him?
Because people fall in love with a knockout puncher. The easiest thing, especially for a mainstream fan to understand, is knockout power. And when somebody has every highlight of dismissing an opponent with one single punch, it plays more like a Rocky movie. So it's easy to say, to just look down and say, come on, Deontay Wilder gets rid of everybody, 42 wins, 41 knockouts. I understand that. And there's always enough intrigue when you get a fight like this of two undefeated. There's always enough of that 50-50. And then you shift and you lean towards, well, how can somebody most easily get rid of somebody? With a Deontay Wilder fight, even if there's doubt, even if Tyson Fury boxes perfectly for almost all 36 minutes, all it takes is that 1 second that Deontay Wilder is capable of delivering. But you can't do it if you're getting beat up on the inside, if somebody's attacking you.
Talking to Joe Tessitore again. He called the Tyson Fury-Deontay Wilder fight on Saturday night in Vegas, Sunday morning for some, depending on where you were watching it.
Exactly. We're sorry about that.
Yeah, hey, no problem. Listen, it was worth it. So as far as when you're calling this, when you thought, this we expected this incredible fight. I think the over-under was 10.5 for rounds. Right. Did you think that, this one could end earlier than we think, and Fury is really dominating?
Well, there's a moment very early in the first round where I turned to both Andre Ward and Lennox Lewis, and I say something to the effect of, what is revealing itself right now? And both of my analysts said he's doing what he told us he would do in terms of stepping forward, and he's having the effect he wants. There was an up jab that was landed in the first round that was quite revealing. But in the second round, you saw more of it. And then obviously what happened in the third round, you knew this thing was going to go south on Wilder. Now, you always knew that Wilder was going to be game, was going to act like a champion, and was going to be willing to throw the right hand. But what you then figured out very quickly is that the delivery system to throw the right hand didn't exist, that he couldn't get it done. I'm just telling you, the key word here in describing it is a mauling, is a beatdown, because there were things happening beyond clean and effective punching that were hurting Deontay Wilder. He was being ragdolled by the bigger man. He was being leaned on with a lot of force and leverage from 6'9" and 273 pounds. Even the little things were hurting him. In on the clinch, some of the hits on the clinches, some of the shoulders and forearms, stuff that was happening when they were leaning up against the ropes for a good portion of the fight, hovering over our broadcast crew. And right now I'm going to have a dry cleaner who thinks I'm a hitman when I deliver my suit and shirt today because it's so blood splattered from the ruptured eardrum of Deontay Wilder. But everything that was happening to Deontay Wilder, I will even tell you, even at one point, the slip where his body was thrown across the ring and there was a little bit of a brush of a punch and a push and a trip, every little thing was having an impact on hurting him and damaging him. It was much more of a mauling than it was a boxing knockout or TKO.
So, Joe, along those lines, when Breland throws in the towel, we heard your opinion about it. It was the right thing to do. Who around you? I know you had two analysts. What did each of them say about it? And was there anybody that you were talking to around ringside that thought it was the wrong move to throw in the towel and why they thought that?
Not among veteran boxing people at all. At all. What that is, and when you hear the fighter say, I can't believe that. Of course he's going to not be able to believe his corner did that to him because you've never lost. You've gone about every second of your life as an undefeated champion. You have trained hard to never even be able to consume a loss. And you're flanked by a lead trainer in JD's, who is a guy who's been with you since you're 19 years old when you stepped into his gym as a hopeless young man who's a father of a child with spina bifida, and you're working a beer delivery truck, and now you're making $35 million a fight as the champion of the world. They don't understand this. They can't consume it and digest it. Mark Breland is not. He was looking at JD's as if to say, you can't see what's happening right now. Our fighter, this young man, we need to protect him for at least a third fight. But when you have that fatherly relationship, sometimes that's the worst kind of relationship to make that critical judgment to stop a fight. I've called thousands of fights. Trust me, the fights that typically go too far are because of the emotional, loving, almost family kind of relationship in a corner. Mark Breland, who's a former Olympic medalist, a former champion himself, had enough experience and understanding to remove himself from that emotion and say, let me do the right thing.
Joe, now that we got all that out of the way, let's get to the most important thing about the match.
Yes.
Tyson Fury licking Deontay Wilder's blood. What was going on there?
I couldn't believe it. Tyson said to me in August before his fight against Otto Wallin. I can remember sitting with Tyson in August before he fought Otto Wallin. That's the fight where he had the 47 stitches. And he said, Joe, I want to have a Hagler-Hearns kind of fight. I want to taste blood. And I said, are you out of your mind? What do you mean you want to have a Hagler-Hearns kind of fight? And he's serious in saying this. He then said it repeatedly to me in December, in January. I want to taste his blood. I want to have a war. He is from a different way. He just is. You have to understand that the whole Gypsy King label is not a boxing nickname. It's not Hitman Hearns. It is actually a point of ethnic pride of saying, I'm the baddest man of my people, the scariest man of all. No man can take me. And he put this forth that he really wanted this thing to go to a next level. And repeatedly he said, I want to taste his blood. And don't you know, in that moment of dominating, he had this pure clarity. And it's almost as if his mind went to that place. And he did it on the inside after landing a punch and seeing the damage done where he had destroyed the left side of his head, and it was just cascading and red painted. And then he puts his tongue out, and we had the camera right on it.
Yeah, that was, hey, I guess when you're doing that damage in the ring, you
do
go
whatever
ahead and
you want.
do whatever you want. Joe Tessitore joins us. He called the fight Fury and Wilder. So last question, there is a clause in the contract that Wilder has 30 days to invoke as far as a rematch. Like one of the guys sitting next to you, Andre Ward, said he does not think Wilder is going to do that. What is the thought amongst boxing people if he'll do that or not?
Wilder shouldn't do it, but I believe Wilder will do it. And the division has always been defined by great rivalries. The history of the division going back 100-plus years is always defined by rivalries. The money is built to have a trilogy. I mean, mega money. This thing was huge. Should he do it? No. If you're an advisor of Deontay Wilder, if you're managing the career of Deontay Wilder, you want to reset right now because I believe a third fight will just be a more exaggerated version of the second fight. However, I do believe he will do it, and I do believe there will be a strong appetite for the public to desire it, especially when things settle down, and especially when you'll hear Wilder say, I always have the right hand, if my equilibrium was there, I would have had a chance. I believe there will be a third fight in a trilogy. The parameters, by the way, are already set for that to take place because they've agreed to the fact that the winner would receive 60% of the money in the third fight. But then there will be the super fight with Anthony Joshua, the belt holder, not the heavyweight champion. The heavyweight champion is Tyson Fury, who now has the WBC, the lineal in the ring. And let me just say this, because the three of us have had a conversation going back now over about 2.5 years, I believe, that you guys have had me on to talk about, the highest level of boxing. And I can remember going back to when we first started this ESPN Top Rank relationship, of the three of us discussing how boxing is starting to get back and that boxing really never went away. And I remember saying it's all about the fact that it was shoved off into the corner of premium cable and pay-per-view for the last generation. But we are of a certain age, the three of us are a certain age, of what happened last week in our country and around the world, of this primal pull to watch a mega fight again. We understand it from the 70s, 80s, and 90s. And with the resources and power of the two networks that just put this forth, and now the new talent that has almost been like a garden getting good soil and sun without Floyd Mayweather simply cash grabbing in the sport, you're seeing exactly what the sport now will be for years and years to come. A very healthy heavyweight division, very healthy lower weight classes. And I think what happens Saturday night is the new paradigm shift in the sport. Expect plenty more of what just happened Saturday night.
It was the moment boxing needed. It was a lot of fun. We look forward to what happens from here. Joe, always good to talk to you, man. Thanks, buddy.
Thanks, Joe.
You guys are ridiculously generous with your time. We'll talk later.
Get out of here.
Lick the blood off.
It's incredible. I think I'm a hitman taking my suit to the dry cleaner.
Wow.
Coming up, it took to the final minute before LeBron delivered a knockout punch. We'll get to that after SportsCenter.
Yeah, we got Kendrick Perkins coming up here, so.
5 count is on, looking, lobs it for James, he's got it. Out on the right wing against Jaylen Brown. Backing him toward the mid-post, 9 to shoot, spins, fades, LeBron gives the Lakers the lead. 30 seconds to go.
Mark Kessicher, ESPN Radio, 114-112 win for the Lakers over the Celtics. No Kemba Walker for the Celtics. LeBron hits that shot with 30 seconds to go to help get the victory. Jason Tatum does have 41, making him the youngest player in the Lakers-Celtics rivalry to record a 40-point game. He's just 21 years old. We're going to keep it in the NBA. The Bucks didn't play on Sunday, yet they still clinched a playoff spot after the Wizards lost to the Bulls. According to Elias, it's the earliest a team has clinched a playoff berth in the last 15 years. Milwaukee is 48-8 and on pace to win 70 games. Only the 95 Bulls and the 2015 Warriors have accomplished that. And today will certainly be a memorable day, both in honoring and certainly mourning Kobe Bryant, his daughter, and the 7 others who were lost in the helicopter crash on January 26th. Kobe will be honored today at Staples Center. Coverage begins at 1 Eastern on ESPN. I'm sure people from all over, inside of sports, outside of sports, will be there. The stadium will be filled. The Staples Center will be filled. And certainly outside of Staples, there'll be many, many fans, celebrating the life and certainly mourning the death of Kobe Bryant. And again, those 8 others lost on that horrific helicopter crash on January 26th. That SportsCenter brought to you by Straight Talk Wireless. Straight Talk Wireless has the full court cell phone coverage you need. Get the unlimited plan with 25 gigs of high-speed data, then 2G for just $45 a month, saving you up to half the cost of the big carriers. Everything for less. Savings may vary. Check out terms and conditions at straighttalk.com.
9 to shoot, spins, fades, LeBron gives the Lakers the lead.
It's just an honor for me personally to be in a Laker uniform, playing against a historical franchise like the Celtics and being with a historical franchise like the Lakers.
All right, Golic and Wingo with you. Glad you're with us. We are presented by Progressive Insurance. All phone guests join us on the Shell Pennzoil Performance Line. Then there's our guy, Kendrick Perkins, who is ready to join us to talk about what we saw over the weekend in the NBA. Kendrick, thanks for being with us this morning. So what did you make of the way LeBron and the Lakers were able to finish off the Celtics Sunday afternoon at the Staples Center? How good can this Lakers team be, in your opinion?
Well, I appreciate y'all having me on. For one, it was a lot of things that I took away from from that game last night. I thought the Lakers willed their way to victory. I thought they hung their hats on the defensive end. I thought their defense in the fourth quarter was exceptionally well, led by the duo in Anthony Davis and LeBron James. And, you're talking about the best duo, in my opinion, since Kobe and Shaq. And when you have those two guys on the court at the same time, I tell you one thing, I won't bet my money against them. And I was more impressed with the way that Caldwell Pope, he was the unsung hero to me because he held Jason Tatum to 4 points in the fourth quarter. And I think, with the production if the Lakers could get consistent production out of Caldwell Pope, Dwight Howard, Kyle Kuzma, Rajon Rondo, and all the role players, I think the sky's the limit for those guys.
Great point. Jason Tatum, again, 37 points in the first three quarters, just 4 in the fourth quarter, did have 41 for the game. Kendrick, from Boston side of it, how are the players when you're in the locker room and realize, okay, we're down 2 at half, we're tied after the third, we're leading in the fourth, and we lose by 2, and we don't have Kemba Walker?
Well, you walk away with your head up. I think, that Celtic team plays with a lot of pride. Let me tell you something. One thing about Danny Ainge is that when he drafts or he trades for someone or he signs someone, the first thing is he's going to test besides your talent is your heart. And you can't go down the Celtic roster and give me one soft guy on their roster. So those guys came out and compete. They never hang their heads. They're well coached and well led by Brad Stevens. And without arguably their best player, Kemba Walker, Jason Tatum is stepping up and taking that crown a little bit from him. But, if you're the Celtics, you walk away. It's no moral victories, but you still don't have a reason to hang your head.
Kendrick Perkins with us. So we're talking about what the Lakers did on Sunday, and then there's what the Bucks did. The Bucks win on Saturday over the Sixers, coupled with the Wizards' loss on Sunday, means the Bucks have clinched a playoff spot already. Earliest we've had a team clinch a playoff spot in 15 years. And the NBA Monday Morning Roundup is brought to you by AutoZone. Get in the zone, AutoZone. So I guess, Kendrick, are we not talking about the Bucks enough? Because clearly they are the best team in the NBA in terms of what they're doing in the regular season right now. They're on pace to win 70 games, which has only been done twice. But I think we're having this sort of but caveat with them. Yeah, they've got Giannis. Yeah, they're going to win 70 games again. But until they prove to me they can get to the finals, we're not going to see them in that way.
Well, it's not fair to them because if it was any other team, like, for example, the Golden State Warriors, when they were on pace to win, 70 wins plus, we were talking about them every day on TV and in the media. And look, this Bucks team is really, really good. They're deep. They're not missing anything. They're not lacking anything at any position. They got all the tools that they need to win the championship. And when you look at them, they're well coached, and they have a superstar in Giannis who, after coming off an MVP season last year, you like, well, how can he get better? How can he get better? And he got better. Like, his numbers are up. He's playing less minutes, and he might be a guy. He might be the next guy since Elijah Warren and Michael Jordan to win the MVP and Defensive Player of the Year. And I tell you what, I went seeing this Bucks team Saturday play against the 76ers, and they are scary. I'm talking about they play agenda-free basketball. Every guy's a star in their role, and I'm telling you, this Bucks team, you better watch out. And then look, one other thing, I'm gonna mention this. Kawhi Leonard is not in the East no more, so they don't have to worry about that.
So speaking of the East, of the other teams, because Milwaukee has set themselves apart, who is best set up by style of play to beat Milwaukee in a series?
Well, the Toronto Raptors. They're deep, they're battle-tested, and they're well coached. Nick Nurse is doing a great job with that group. And when you look at that Toronto Raptors team, they have 2 All-Stars in Kyle Lowry and Siakam. Kyle Lowry is the ultimate leader. He's the ultimate competitor, and it trickles on down.
In the Eastern Conference, I don't think anybody thought that was going to be where they would be this late in the season. Coming up, is it the same old song for a spring football league? We'll get to that after this.
All right, they say a great offense starts with a great defense. That's especially true when it comes to the fuel you put in your car. Shell V-Power Nitro Plus Premium Gasoline is engineered with 4 levels of defense against gunk, wear, corrosion, and friction. Helps keep your engine running like new. Maybe it's time to unthink what you think you think. about premium fuel. Shell V-Power Nitro Plus Premium Gasoline. It's fuel for thought. In engines that continuously use Shell V-Power Nitro Plus,